Hi, Elva. Can you hear us?
Hey, Elva.
You're on mute, Elva. There we go.
I got it.
Okay, we're working.
Who's there? Is it Andrew and Jacob?
Yeah, and Sarah's here too. Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Oh, see. Oh, yeah, I see her.
I was telling them that I got to see you in person on Sunday. It was very exciting.
I know. I wanted to go in person today, and I was really thinking about it. But you know what? I got my shot, and it hasn't been my second shot, and it hasn't been 2 weeks after the shot.
Yeah, no, you should wait.
Yeah, so I kind of, for church, I sat way up in the front.
Yeah,
So,
I told them that I just waved to you from like 15 feet away.
yeah, it was good to get out. That was my first time that I have been out anywhere since I came home. So I've been home almost 2 months.
Wow.
So the only thing is that COVID is that you lose your hair. If you're a survivor of COVID, they call them long haulers, long hauler survivor, and so your hair falls out, and mine has been falling out like crazy.
Wow.
So it's going to grow back apparently, you know, but it's just, you know, when I see handfuls of hair in my hand, it kind of scares me, but it's just something I've got to go through.
Yeah, no, that is scary.
So I'm partially. Everybody else been good?
Yeah.
No, how about, it says here my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, you were breaking out a little bit for a moment. You were kind of freezing a bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I watched this for something. Okay. Were you recording? Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. If we can please start with roll call.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Here.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Here.
Miss Sarah Turner,
Here.
Miss Elva Ariano,
Here,
Mr. Neil Patel is not present.
Okay. So we have a quorum. Can I please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
pledge
to the
allegiance
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Is there any changes to the board agenda tonight? No? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve?
Can I get a second?
second,
Okay. Can I get a roll call, please?
Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Miss Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Miss Elva Ariano,
aye.
Mr. Neil Patel isn't present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you. So tonight we have the following items in closed session for today. 2.1 is potential litigation under Government Code 54956.8 and 54956.9. And 2.2, we have personnel actions appointed Director of Student Services and Special Education. 2.3, conference with labor negotiators regarding labor negotiations with the SRTA and CSEA. Do we have any public comments regarding closed session items?
We have no public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. If I can get a motion to adjourn to closed session, please.
Motion to adjourn to closed session?
Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Miss Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Miss Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel isn't present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, we'll see everybody afterwards.
Okay, test. Okay, it's working. Interesting.
Are we live? Okay. Welcome back, everybody. We're reconvening back into open session, and I'd like to report out June 9th, 2021. During the closed session, the board took action to appoint Melanie Grundy as Director of Student Services and Special Education. The vote was 4-0, so congratulations and welcome to the district. Now
Miss-
we move.
Ms. Grundy's on her way here.
Oh, okay.
And so if she makes it, she's in traffic. She'll go during Becky's report.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So now moving on to 5.1, approval of consent agenda. Is there any questions from the board? Not, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Okay, can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Ms. Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel is not present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Now moving on to 6.0, reports, information. Start off with 6.1. Do we have a statement from SRTA today? Oh, in person. Awesome. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Danny Crouch. I'm the secretary for the Santa Rita Teachers Union. Today we're very excited to have wrapped up another successful school year a couple weeks ago. We did it. Some of us didn't think we'd make it, but we did. And a lot of our teachers are now taking a well-deserved break. However, some of us instead took a look back at the school year, all the work we've done, and said, let's keep going. Tomorrow will mark the end of our very first week of Summer Academy, and it's been such a treat to have students back in person and even for longer periods of time. We're going from 2 hours in the afternoon with 2 days a week with each group of kids to now 4 hours a day, 4 days a week straight with the same group of kids. So that's very nice. It's nice getting to work with colleagues and students from across the district, building our community even stronger. And it's fun getting to do activities that the teachers are passionate about and getting to pass those passions on to our next generation. So it's been great. Thank you. We're very appreciative of our school district for allowing this opportunity. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Do we have anybody from CSEA?
We have no comment from CSEA.
Okay. And I'm assuming no principal's spotlight. Okay. Move on to the superintendent's cabinet. Not sure who you want to start off with first.
Ms. Dermody,
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Today, I finally got a chance to report over to John Gutierrez Middle School and La Jolla Elementary School to check out all of our students and staff that are working our extended school year and summer programming. And it was delightful. I would echo everything that Ms. Crouch just said. It was wonderful to see students. I got a chance to chat with students, and they shared how excited they were to be on campus and how much they loved school and seeing their friends and engaging all of the activities that our students and staff have been able to provide for them. So it's a very exciting time, and I was very proud of the staffing that I saw and how the adults were working with the kids and being very patient and kind. I want to give a little bit of a big shout out to MOT as well for getting all the transportation pieces settled. So that went well. It couldn't have gone better. So we're happy with that. We worked out a couple of glitches. I also wanted to thank the board for the opportunity to serve as your director of student services in SPED for the last 4 years and express my gratitude and support that you have shown me in building this program from the foundation and a little bit higher. And I'm really excited to have my successor and take over and water it a little bit. And as Ms. Koenig would say, have it grow and blossom. So I also wanted to express to the board that I intend on being 100% available to make sure that we have a smooth transition for this department so that we have no delay in services or placements for our students. So thank you.
Mr. Helm,
Hi, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just to follow up on Nadine's comments about Summer Academy, that's what I have to report today too. So we have seen some hiccups, but that's expected with the first week. It's been nice collaborating with Mr. Ramirez though on those and fixing some minor things at both sites. As it stands right now, we have teams of 2 at John Gutierrez Middle School, La Jolla Elementary, and also Santa Rita Elementary. Even though Santa Rita does not have an education program there, we still thought it was necessary to stay in that community and provide meals and service there. Counts are obviously lower, but that's expected. We get that every year. We are still serving roughly 500 meals per day. And students are getting lunch for the day as they leave campus, and then breakfast for that following day, with snacks at some point on campus between about 10 and 10:15 during their break time. And then the central kitchen is still feeding preschool and feeding MCOE ESY students. So that's it for me.
Oh, did anybody have any? Yeah, that's me. Well, really quick, just going back to Nadine, I just wanted to tell her thank you. Thank you for making yourself available to help the transition, always working for a district. So just wanted to say thank you.
Mr. Sandoval.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, thank you, Nadine, for the shout out. I definitely want to give all the credit to my staff. We're running 4 buses and 3 vans and full capacity. So everything's been going so smooth this past week that I feel at ease, and I think we're going to have a fruitful summer. So with that, I also want to bring you up to speed on the 2 projects that we have out on the street. They were opened today from sealed bids, and hopefully next board meeting, I'll be bringing you recommendations to award so that we could actually get La Jolla and Gavilan View going.
Any questions from the board? Well, that's exciting news. Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.
Ms. Zamudio.
Good evening. So I do have a huge report in one of my items, so I'm going to save that for later, okay? It's a lot of information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our team has been very busy with hiring. We finalized a few summer school hires. Most of summer school is staffed by our own staff members, but we did have a couple of teachers to help us from other districts. We also have been finalizing our hiring for our own staff for the next school year. So we are down to just the last few teaching positions that we need to hire for. So our department's been working with one principal, Mr. Hermosillo, for a couple positions at his site. We're still looking for one speech therapist. And we have our new positions that we just opened with the TOSAs and the counselor. And those are all set to close tomorrow, as well as our vice principal for Gavilan View. So it looks like we're in the home stretch of hiring and get everybody settled in. My team is working tomorrow, meeting with some of our new hires to go over their paperwork, get everything in order and get them set up for the new year. The other thing that has been on our plate, particularly on mine, is watching the COVID safety updates. With the June 15th opening looming, we're watching the news to see what changes may be coming for us in the school setting. As of now, the latest update says not a lot. We're going to maintain what we're doing with the distancing and masks, whether vaccinated or unvaccinated, but we hear that that could change. So I'm just really keeping my eye on that to make sure that we maintain the best safety standards for everybody. And I also can introduce Melanie Grundy, our new Director of Student Services and Special Education. Congratulations, Melanie. Yes. There you go.
It's on.
Perfect.
Yay.
Good evening, board members and superintendent. Thank you so much for having me in person. Sorry, I'm running a couple minutes late. I forgot about traffic with all the virtual meetings we've had this year. But I'm so excited to be here this evening and to meet you all in person. And just such an honor. I've heard such amazing things about Santa Rita and am happy to be here. So I've been in the community, in the county for the past 15 years in different capacities. I've worked as a special education teacher. I've been a TOSA, a teacher on special assignment. I've worked as a special education academic coach, a special education coordinator, an AVID district director, and a special education director as well in one of our sister districts in the county. And yeah, I've just heard wonderful things about you guys. I'm passionate about inclusion and co-teaching and just student access. I also have a gen ed side of the house too, experience with that, and just really working with all teachers about just how to better serve all of our students. So anyways, I'm just really, really happy to be here and get to know you all better and join the team. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And Melanie will be beginning with us in the new year in July. She's finishing out her contract with her current district. So.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say thank you, and we're excited to have you part of our district and our teams. So welcome.
Yes, and I'm excited that you have experience at all levels, and I love your energy and passion, and I'm looking forward to you joining the Santa Rita District and serving our students. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that the last? That's it. Okay. Okay, moving on to 6.5, the board and superintendent. Start off with the board. Want to go first, Andrew?
Well, I was honored to attend the renaming of both the Knolls to John Gutierrez Middle School. It was a great event. We had a lot of staff and community support. It was also nice of his son to very well, I mean, he did an excellent job of showing us his dad's voice. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to that school. And I got a chance to visit at least drop off some students at the summer academy, my own, and to hear their excitement at the teachers' excellent job. I hear they're doing a play, and then they're doing some creative PE. So I'm just really excited at the excitement from the teachers and the students. So I'm looking forward to that this year, and I'm just glad to be in person and looking forward to our upcoming workshop and establishing some district goals.
Okay, thank you. Ella, would you like to go next?
Yes. I attended the Galvin U graduation drive-through, and I must say that the organization of the event was really good, and I was impressed. And I do want to say thank you to all the staff that was involved in the planning of the drive-through. As we drove up, the Pomp and Circumstance graduation song was blaring, and then I saw a lot of students smiling and the proud relatives of their family members graduating with their caps and gowns. Julie Johnson was gracious enough, as always, to help me take pictures with my grandson, and she gave me a goodie basket that I was very much thankful for. So it was a nice event and very smooth, and it warmed my heart just to see all the 8th graders graduating. Well, not in a formal way, but it was nice. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Ella. Sarah, would you like to go next?
I wanted to let everybody know that before we are together again as a board, I'm going to be attending the Monterey County School Boards Association meeting as the Santa Rita rep. So I'll bring the report back, and I'm very curious about what we're going to do. We had all these exciting plans pre-COVID that we've never been able to implement. So I'm hoping that we're going to get to have a conversation about starting to implement some of those things for the county. Before school got out, the Galvin View administrators and teachers did an amazing job of walking me around and getting to see all the kids when they were in class there. And the teachers were incredibly gracious and the students were having such a good time. So it was really fun to just sort of get a peek before the end of the year thing that had been going on. So that was really exciting.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. And also wanted to say thank you for the donations for the baskets. I was able to participate in the auction and stuff, and it was really fun seeing the teachers and staff kind of get excited and all the prizes that were done. I also attended the John Gutierrez ceremony as well. So I want to thank all the staff and the community that showed up and the elected officials that came out to support. So it was a really great event. That's pretty much my report. Ms. Alderman?
Well, I wanted to let you know the amazing job that Mr. Ramirez and his staff have done putting together a really dynamic summer academy, even in this still lingering situation with COVID. And our teachers, we are just always do such an amazing job, especially when you say, show everybody what it is you know how to do that you want to share. I got a chance to visit Ms. Crouch's room and some other rooms, and it's pretty awesome when you see teachers just engaging with something they're passionate about, sometimes with a different age group than they normally teach during the year. So, you know, they get to kind of have different experiences with Summer Academy too, based on their own interests or what they might be passionate about. But Mr. Ramirez, we have I wanted to just give a real kudos to him. The work that he's put into doing this, you know, and he's already thinking about what he wants to do next year. Especially if COVID's not around. And, you know, I told him what a dynamic program we did year before last, which Nicole Jensen was really responsible with helping me put together. And then to be able to hand it off to somebody like Mr. Ramirez and trust that he can make it even better than we did feels pretty amazing. But we're serving over 400 students, and that is surprising in such a great way. One, that we did have enough of our staff members who said, I will give time up this summer to keep education going for our students. Though I do want to tell all of our staff members who said, you know, did not want to do that, that I absolutely understand the need to kind of take a break. And it's been a hard year and a few months, and everyone in this district really hung together with it. And so getting our students back on campus, having that many parents who felt good about our safety measures, and having their students engage in person really made it worthwhile, and really excited to see what all of our teachers are doing from day one. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I do want to reiterate that to the teachers as well, that you guys are well-deserved summer break. So, okay, moving on to 7.1. Is there any public comment regarding non-agenda items?
We have no public comment tonight.
Okay, and I imagine for agenda items as well. Okay. Okay, move on to business 8.1. Approve agreement with animal damage management. I think that's Chuck's item, or
Yeah, this is our department's item. This is just an annual renewal. So we got our 3 quotes as we need to. First, and animal damage management once again came in with the lowest quote. So we'll be retaining their services again for another year.
okay, great. Looks pretty straightforward. Unless anybody has questions or motion, please.
Motion to approve?
Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Miss Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Miss Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel isn't present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 8.2.
That's ours again. Once again, another renewal. It says EMS Link. They recently bought out our former company, Titan School Solutions. We are maintaining the same service through Titan School Solutions. One thing to note that they did discount the annual rate this year significantly. I don't expect that next year, but it's a nice item, and we'll definitely take advantage of that.
Okay, well, we appreciate it for this year. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 8.2.
Can I get a second?
I second?
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Ms. Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel is not present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, and one more item, 8.3.
And last item for our department, this is also with EMS and or Type School Solutions. This is a one-time for a representative from Type to come out, help us with some data implementation and some training on the program. We haven't used the program in over a year. We had just started getting into some new services that they had provided. They came out and did training February prior to the shutdown. This is to kind of clean up what was missed and to finish that training.
Okay, great, thank you. If there's any questions, if not, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve 8.3.
Okay, Sarah, motions, can I get a second?
I second?
Second, roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Ms. Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel is not present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Moving on to 8.4, public hearing regarding the district's proposed budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year.
Thank you. That's my item. So you should have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation for today, and I know Nicole was going to help me to put that on the screen. Thank you, Nicole. So as you can see, this was part of the agenda. It's probably over 200 pages, and even though it's called the July 1st budget, we're really looking into 2 fiscal years, 2 budget years, the closing year 2020, 2021, and the 2021-2022 fiscal year. So I'm gonna do my best to just highlight the most important items and summarize this 200 pages document for you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me at any time, or we can do questions after the presentation. Just a reminder that on June 4th, this big report was available in our website. It was there for public inspection. The next step is the public hearing, which we're doing right now. And then the final step would be the budget adoption, which will take place on June 23rd, which is our next board meeting. So is it ready? Yeah, we can move to the next slide, Nicole. So these are just the highlights for today's presentation, just to keep in mind that this is the budget is a living item, meaning that it's just gonna move all over the year. This is, I call it the first draft, because at this point, we don't have actual enrollment for the next year. We're we're doing our budget assumptions based on the May revised budget, and we're doing the best that we can with information that we have as of today. After the governor signs the state budget, which has to happen before July 1st, if there are any big revisions, then that's when I come back with the 45-day budget revision for another approval. So for now, this is what we have, and I'm positive everything's gonna change because it looks nothing like it looked a year before when the May revised that we were looking into a 10% budget reduction, and then it was just 0% COLA. So yeah, a year ago, it was nothing like how the budget looks today. Big changes. Also, something else to keep in mind is that one-time funding is for one-time expenses. And something also to keep in mind is that if we go slow during this recovery, we would be able to sustain in the long run, because we have this one-time funding that we just need to be very strategic on how we spend those funds. And as always, we have a health issue that is impacting our programs, our services, and the district overall. So that's something to keep in mind. And like I said before, we have to be very strategic in our expenses because, like I said, one-time funding for one-time expenses, and just to make sure we don't use for any ongoing. So going to the next page, like I said, this May revised budget, it was totally different from last year. There was so many proposals in the 8 years that I have in experience attending this May revised budgets. presentations, I never seen so many proposals like this one. They just propose on everything, increases on special ed, paying off cash deferrals, additional funding on concentrational, supplemental funding, expanding programs from K to sixth grade, universal kindergarten programs. They propose additional one-time funds for after-school programs, summer school programs, and additional funds for in-person childcare, preschool. I mean, almost they cover everything. That doesn't mean that it is approved because the governor haven't yet approved that budget. These are just proposals. So I know some teachers, they talk about like, oh, what are we gonna do with the funding for this? And yes, we know that it's a proposal. It's not adopted yet. So once they sign the budget, if that's the case, if we're gonna get more funding on this items that I just mentioned, that we're gonna go ahead and do a budget revision. So everything that I just mentioned is not included in the budget because it's not official yet. What we are required to include in the budget, it's pretty much what it comes from the dartboard, which is the COLA, the STIR, SPURS, unemployment rate, and pretty much what I have on that slide for you. Those are included in the budget. Overall, just as a summary, the state received more money than they were expecting. The corporate taxes went up about 20%, sales taxes went up, and income taxes went up. And as you know, this is where they get their overall revenue to fund the district. So they are just doing better than expected. And that's why there's so many proposals and so many things going on. And at the state level, there's also the issue with, declining enrollment, which more than 80% of the districts in California are in declining enrollment. So at the same time, it's like the state is talking about new funding, but at the same time, we know that most of the districts are going to be losing money because of the decline enrollment. So it seems like we're getting more, but in reality, we're getting less. And it's kind of like a balance. And that's why it's important to just be on top of it and really understand the whole picture. Thank you. We can go to the next slide. So this is just to give you a picture of how the cost of living looks based on the May proposal budget. Right now, on the closing year, we're at 0% COLA. Next year, we're going to be at 5.07 COLA. And then it's coming back down again and then a little bit up. So it's kind of like a roller coaster. It's going up, then it's going down, and a little bit up. And if we were on flat enrollment, that's how our revenue would look like. But because we're projecting based on the past year's decline enrollment, then our revenue is going to look a little bit different. So if we go to the next slide.
Really quick, Rosa, and even this right here is just a projection, right? Because the governor can change it.
Yes.
Pretty much. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a projection based on the May revise. And once they adopt the budget, if they say, you know what, instead of a 5%, we're going to give you, I don't know, a 2-3%, then I'm come back to you and I said there was a big change. We need to revise our budget. Yes. Good question. So the next slide, it's pretty much showing you the district enrollment projection. And this is because I'm a conservative budgeter and just take it in consideration if everything continues how it is right now, that most of the districts in California are in declining enrollment. We all know that a lot of families are moving out of the state because of the high cost of living. They're moving to Texas, to Arizona, and other areas. So it's a problem not only in our district, it's statewide, and hopefully the state can find a better way to fund us. That will be great. But for now, this is the projections, and that's what we have. So with that being said, if we go to the next slide, we're going to see how our revenue changes. Thank you, Nicole. So this is just, I'm just going back a year back, 1920. But if you see the projection in these 5 years, it's not consistent. The big increase that you see on the gray bar, that's because of for two main reasons. Because of they call it a super COLA or mega COLA, which is the 5.07 COLA. And the other reason is because this coming year, we're going to be funded still on 1920 ADA. So it's kind of like a waiver. So even though we lost about 120 students on this year, the state is saying, you know, it was due to COVID-19. We're going to go ahead and fund you based on your ADA from 1920. So that's why we see a big increase for the next year, which is about $1.7 million. But then on the following year, you see a big decrease because the COLA is coming down and our enrollment is also projected to come down. So we can go ahead and move to the next slide. This is just to give you like a picture on, you know, I know that maybe people think, oh my God, 5.07%. It's a lot of money. It's $1.7 million, and that's great. But just to give you a picture here, if we were a district who would be, or revenues pretty much matching our expenditures, the COLA is supposed to cover all the increases over the next year. So what are some of the increases over the next year? For example, this next year we have the 5% COLA, but we have the CalSTRS increases, the CalPERS increases, the unemployment rate, which I talked to you about, it went up almost 1%, and it was kind of like not fair because we didn't have to lay off anybody, but we still have to pay for that, right? Pay our taxes. Then we have the step and column increases. That's another 2%. Certificated salaries, we settle at 2%. We still haven't settled with classified. We have special ed increases on ongoing cost. Just everything is going up, you know, everything, even at the store, it's inflation, right? Everything is up. So our costs are gonna go up. And that 5.07% is supposed to cover all of that increases. So just to give you a picture that, yes, that 5.07 looks great, but still with everything that's going up, it's still not enough to really cover all of the over expenses. So we can go ahead and move to the next slide. Thank you. So this is a great slide. I love it. And this is pretty much a summary of the one-time funds that we didn't know we were going to get at the beginning of the year. And it was kind of like surprises month after month, because they would tell us we were going to get it. We didn't know when. There's different reporting periods, different timelines, different requirements. There's monthly reports. If you want to do something related to facilities, you have to go to an extra additional approval. All of these funds, specific two of them, had to be spent by December. I remember talking to you about it, how challenging that was. We got it done. We got all the funds, by the way. I can spend an hour just on this, explaining the services that we provided and all the great things. What I'm going to do from now towards the next meetings until we close the books, I'm going to bring a report to you with detailed information on what we spend these funds. Everything that is highlighted in orange is projected to be done and spent out by the end of this fiscal year. In May, we just got notice about the grants that are not highlighted. So those are the big changes for this fiscal year budget. And this is just to keep in mind, again, that one-time funds are only used for one-time expenses. So we can go to the next slide. So this is the last budget revision, the last big budget revision. It's called the estimated actuals for the 2020-2021. The big changes is pretty much receiving the one-time funds that we were not aware we were gonna receive, and pretty much it's coming from the prior slide. All the non-highlighted items, it's the new grants that we budget here on this budget. Now, we budget some expenditures, but not all of them, because some of the grants run over the 2 to 3 years period. So we try our best to estimate. However, depending on the needs for the district, and at this time, we also got another grant, which I'll go forward on the next slide, for the ESSER 3 funds, which it does require a board approval. And so that one's still not in the budget overall, but it's coming to you. And I believe the template just came out today, right, Melissa? Yeah. So the great thing is that we have it in the budget, and we just need to bring it to you, get it approved, and then adjust the budget. But for this slide, that was pretty much the big increases, the new funding. And as you know, salaries change, and because we pull everything from HR and it captures all the changes that happen between January through May, pretty much. So that those are the changes. And something big as well, just to point out, we did remove the transfers from preschool that we fund for parents' fees out of the LCAP because the state this year, they said that they were going to cover those parent fees. So we removed that out. We also removed the transfers for the cafeteria fund because I'll go over on the next slide. That fund looks better than before, which is great news. And we added the $400,000 transfer to the Fund 40 for the purchase of the portables. So you're going to see that on the transfer out line. That was pretty much the big changes for this slide. So we can go ahead and move to the next one. So this is the changes based on the budget that I just went over, comparing to the new budget for the new fiscal year. There is a decrease, as you can see, on the revenue, but there's also at the same time an increase because we just got an award for the ESSER 3 funds, which is $4.6 million. So as you remember on the prior slide, it was like $9.3 million on one-time funding. All of that is reduced on this new year, but we're adding the $4.6 million for one-time funding for the ESSER 3 funds. And some of it's budgeted on the expenditures, but not, like I said, not all of it, because we still don't have the plan, and it has to come here to the board. As you can see, there's also big decreases on the books, supplies, and services because we don't have that one-time funding anymore. And that's pretty much the big changes in this slide. You see the certificated increases due to the 2% increase and the step-in column. The classified looks not normal. It might look like savings, but that's because we haven't settled with classified. So once we settle with them, it's gonna look as an increase. So that's coming up hopefully soon. Oh, and also, if you see on my notes, I know you have my notes, just in case I forget to mention anything, but there is an increase on the bill back. This is a projection from MCOE for the students that we have on special ed programs. So if we go to the next slide, that's just pretty much a summary for this year, the next 2 fiscal years, just to give you a quick summary. The reason why we're going to end up with a surplus in this closing year and the next fiscal year, it's pretty much due to the one-time funds. And then on 2022, 2023, and the next year, as you know, the COLA is down, enrollment's down, and no more one-time funds that are projected, or we know for sure from the state that they're saying that we're going to get. So pretty much that's the reason why there's a deficit spending there. Okay, so we go to the next slide. Thank you, Nicole. So this is pretty much coming from the MYP slide, just to show you the state requirement for district is at 3%. We do have a board policy for the 17%. So looking at the MYP and the state form, you can see there, we do meet the minimum requirement for the 3%. And if we go to the next slide, we are required to present to you the unrestricted ending fund balance assignment for the 2021-2022. That's on page 2. Thank you, Nicole. So that's pretty much putting aside the 17% minimum reserve. This is like, as we agreed before, to protect the employees for future cash deferrals or needing, instead of getting loans, we're gonna have this reserve here to help out and still keeping on our employees in payroll. We have future expenses, as you can see. We have some LCAP reserve funds that we were not able to implement the services because of COVID. So it is reserved there. It's money that it's going to be spent on those specific targeted students. We have compensated absences. This is when employees, for example, they have vacation, especially this year that due to COVID-19, they were not able to take their vacation. Some of them, we're going to have to pay them off, especially for classified employees. So that's just a liability we have there. And then we have assigned for step-in column on the next 3 years, and increases on benefits, CalSTRS, CalPERS, OPIB, and benefits, and operating expenditures on the next 3 years, and special ed increases as normally we have every year. We have set those aside. So going forward to the next slide. Thank you, Nicole. So for this one, pretty much the big change, it was that we took out the transfer from the general fund. Like I mentioned, this is because the state, it's now covering those fees. Now for the 2021, 2022, they proposed that the state is proposing that they're going to continue to do that. But again, this is not a done deal. We're going to wait until they sign the budget. And if they do cover those fees, then we'll remove that from our budget. But as of now, it's just a proposal. Again, salaries went up due to the step-in column and the 2% increase due to the AB 1200 settlement. And we are reducing the books and services this year because we need to balance the budget and just to make sure we don't deficit spend. So that's what we have for the child development fund. Then we go next slide for the cafeteria fund. Thank you, Nicole. For this one, pretty much the big changes is that we receive additional funds from the state due to one-time funding, $138,000 that we received this year. And going forward to the next fiscal year, we are anticipating more revenue because we're hoping that students come back to school, participation increases, and pretty much that's the big changes. And as you can see, again, salaries increases based on step-in column. And that's pretty much, if you can see at the bottom, or when we first budget at the beginning of the year, we were looking at a contribution of almost $1 million from the general fund because of the low participation. And like I said before, we have to be very strategic with our one-time funds. So we were allowed to actually move expenditures out of this fund to Fund 1 to be used, to use those one-time fund expenditures. And that's how we were able to balance or have a more balanced budget for this year. So I'm very thankful that we were able to do that. And it's just the way that we use the funds to make sure that we're spending the funds within the timelines and on the items that we are required to spend the funds.
So just to clarify, you had mentioned that previously we were going to have to tap into the general fund for those funds, but now we're able to use the.
Yes, that's right. Because we were usually what happens in the past is that we do a contribution out of the general fund to this fund. Now we did it backwards. So we took expenditures out and move it to the general fund. So expenditures came down, revenue came down, and that's how we were able to balance the budget. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So the next fund, that's Fund 14. And that's pretty much, to summarize, this is aligned with the 5-year plan for facility projects that Mr. Sandoval brings to you. And I know some of you are part of the facility committee as well. And for this fiscal year, most of the work was done for the rekeying for the school sites and the fire alarm. For the next fiscal year, based on the 5-year plan, there's some projects and repairs on New Republic and La Jolla, Santa Rita, and JG. Just floor repairs, roof repairs, and a carpet replacement. And I know you have a copy of the 5-year plan, so I'm not really going to go in detail. And this is pretty much just matching that 5-year plan that you previously approved. So going to the next fund, the Fund 25, these are the revenue that we receive from developer fees. And these are pretty much fees that the community pays the district whenever there's like a new housing development or commercial development. And due to COVID, this last year, on the last budget revision, we didn't have any income because there was not construction due to the COVID-19. But the last quarter, we did receive some fees, so that's $8,844. So that's pretty much the big change for this fund. And then going forward on the 2021, 2022, we're just very conservative. Hopefully we can get more, but we're just rolling over the budget, and we're going to update us as soon as we get more information. The expenses that we have for this fund, it's pretty much contract services related to the West Area Specific Plan development, like facility analysis, meeting studies, and legal fees and things like that. So we can go ahead and move to the next. To the next slide. Thank you, Nicole. So this is the Fund 35. This is the facility fund where we keep, again, different projects in a separate fund. This is the revenue came pretty much from the $3.5 million for Sobrano New School Project and $1.5 million that was scheduled for Gavilan View Renovation Kitchen Project. And as those expenses that we have, it's to pretty much purchase the portable and the Gavilan View Kitchen Project. They are on 2 fiscal years. On some of the expenses are budgeted in the closing year, 2020, 2021, and then also 2021, 2022. This is aligned with the timeline that we received from our consultant, and it's pretty much aligning the years and the timelines with our expenditures that we have. And we can move to the next slide. This is the Fund 40 capital projects. Thank you, Nicole. So for this one, over the last years, there was really no activity, and we only had a beginning balance, but we didn't have any outlay projects on this fund. Now, what we put in here is the purchase of the portables a La Jolla. So like I mentioned before, we did a transfer that you previously approved from the general fund to this fund. And this is where we keep in track. And again, it's aligned with the timeline based on the construction project, and it's overlapping 2 years. And that's what you see on this slide. So we go to the final slide. Thank you for being patient. I know it's a lot of information. So on the Form A, as you can see, this is pretty much how we get funded. As I mentioned before, on this year, 2020, 2021, and the next fiscal year, we get a waiver where we are allowed to get funded on the 1920 ADA. So that's pretty much what's helping us to stay out of financial trouble. And the next form is like it says right there, it's an interfund activities, criteria and standards, pretty much summarizes everything. Wherever there's like a percentage difference, I am required to explain why that percentage changed. So if you read through it, it's about 26 pages. You can read right there my explanations. Most of them are due to the one-time funding. That's why the percentages are off, but it's normal due to the one-time funding. And then we have the multi-year projection, which is a summary of the 3 years. The TRC, this is the one that checks for all the accounts, making sure all the grants are in balance, all the accounts are accurate. This year, I do have an error because we did got a new grant. However, the error is because the state didn't have enough time to upload that information into the software. But I wanted to make sure that it was included there because it's the most up-to-date information as of May. So it's an error, but it's a valid error. And it's the state's fault. Okay, that's all I have. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I know it's a lot of information. Like I said, I'm on my next reports. I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna go over detail of some of the one-time funding because I know when you see that number, it's like, wow, what do you guys do with all the money? And even though we've been talking about it and the services and everything that we do, I think it's important just to bring a page and saying this is what we spend it on, and just for informational purposes and transparency purposes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rosa. Does the board have any questions or comments?
Just a comment to say thank you for all of your hard work, and particularly this past year with COVID and everything changing all the time. I've just been continually impressed by you and your office responding to that, and as a facilities committee member too. It's amazing to go to a meeting and say we have this huge problem, but we already paid for it, and there's no problem with the budget, because that is not the way that regular life usually goes. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you for your passion. I know how much you enjoy, and I'm really glad that you enjoy keeping track of timelines and making sure we get the money and making sure it's spent. And I really appreciate that because I think that's like a gift for the district. So I appreciate you going after every dollar. Do we have the final numbers of how many inter-district transfers we had? Did we do good with that? Is that, I know we don't have our enrollment numbers yet, but do we know if we got a decent? Who has that
Do
answer?
you mean for the following year
No,
or for this
for
past?
this
For
coming
the
year?
Oh,
upcoming
this
school
coming
year. You know, I don't have that right available on the top of my head, but I do know that we were working through all of the ones, and I do not believe we declined any of them, and we're still actively getting them each day. I think we had at least 3 come in today.
Oh, great.
So we
Yeah.
process them throughout the summer as they continue to come in. So
Sure, and then on one of the things I saw that you mentioned we're gonna have to cut back on our books expenditures, like how is that gonna affect us? Are we okay with still making sure that we're providing up-to-date information or?
Yes, so the main reason for that is because this year, the closing year, or expenditures for books and supplies looks higher because we had a one-time fund, so we had to increase our expenditure budget to be able to spend all the funds. Now, next year, we're not going to have one of those one-time funds. So, like I said before, one-time funds for one-time expense. So on the following year, we're reducing the expenditures. And I know right now it's just a lot of information and it's hard to see, but it's a lot of, hotspots, items, and that we purchase to be ready for online learning, Chromebooks, and just, materials and supply, cleaning supplies, face masks, cleaning, disinfecting wipes, new supplies that we were required. So all of those things that we were required because of the online learning, the funding that we got, and we had to reduce it on the following year. We do still have, like I said, a $4.6 million. So I didn't reduce everything. We still left some room for it because we did got the $4.6 million for the next fiscal year that we're still planning on using that have to be COVID related. So we should be okay for the next fiscal year. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'm going to take some time because I really want to thank my staff at the business office. It's been a very difficult year, and I know it's been difficult for everyone in admin. I know, ladies, and to, Mr. Sandoval and Chuck, everyone. But my business office, they work really, really hard, especially with the new grants, having to create new accounts. I mean, for each grant, it's probably about 150 new accounts, having to respond to emails where, people is like, where do I pay this from? Because a lot of our sites are not familiar with the different funding. And thank you to the secretaries as well. Once we had to spend the funds by a timeline, they were working on that, working on the weekends, nights to wait on the packages. And it's a lot of work that gets done. It's kind of like behind the scenes that nobody sees. But I had meetings with the ladies, with the school sites, with the secretaries, with the principals, with my staff, HR. Everyone has worked very, very hard. And I'm just very, very fortunate to have them, very thankful, and I appreciate so much all the hard work and that they put in to make everything happen. So I just want to thank my staff for their hard work and everyone in the district. Thank you. And looking forward for the next year. Hopefully it's going to be better. So I'm really looking forward.
Okay, thank you, Rosa. Ella, did you have any questions or comments?
No, but I just want to thank Rosa for her dedication for our budget, and her presentation was just wonderful. It was very easy to follow, and it was in my language. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just had one question. So the following meeting is we're going to bring the budget forward. How does that affect with the timelines with the state's budget as far as if there's adjustments?
So the next meeting on June 23rd? Yeah, so that's going to be the timeline for us to adopt the budget. So usually the state budget doesn't get adopted until after, usually by July 1st. Now, I did hear that they're getting into agreement, so they might adopt that before July 1st. And if that happens, we would have to move with the adoption because that's what we had. And if they change their mind and if they adopt before July 1st, I would have to come back and do the 45-day budget revisions. I still have 45 days for that.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
I have
okay.
some time.
No, it's just interesting how budgets work, especially with school districts, is you get one-time funding and it makes things look better than it actually is. And then the following year you spend the money and then it makes it look worse than it
Yes.
actually is. And then you're making projections and the state's saying, psych, something different now, or you're getting more or less. So it just makes education districts very difficult. So thank you.
Yes, I totally agree. And I love the way it used to be where we used to get the LCF funding, which it was unrestricted, I'm sorry, and just the LCAP. And that was most of our funding because we didn't have to do all these crazy reports. Now it looks like we're going back to categorical funding because we have so many different reports, so many guidelines, so many extra work, and I love that we're getting more funding. I wish we can get it unrestricted so we can do, because we all have different needs, and that was the main point before that. Like our district don't have the same needs as Carmel district or Pacific Rural, so we had the option to spend it on the needs of our students, and now it's pretty much the state telling us when to spend it, where to spend it, how to spend it, and report back to them. So it's way more work.
Okay, thank you, Rosa. So now we're moving on to 8.5, public hearing regarding the district 2021 to 2024 LCAP draft.
I know Donna Koenig's online, and so I want to, before I get started, say that I don't think we would have gotten this document accomplished without Donna Koenig stepping in to lend her assistance with creating this draft for us. So it was a much bigger document than it normally is. We are going into a new 3-year cycle. And again, thanks to Donna Koenig and Alberto Ramirez, we managed to have the most amazing engagement of our community throughout this entire school year. Our parent engagement and community meetings, I should say stakeholder engagement, we had a lot of teachers and classified join us as well for a lot of these meetings. We averaged 83 participants per meeting. Our largest meeting, all total, we had over 500 people.
Wow.
That was when we did our simultaneous English and Spanish town hall meeting. And so one of the things about the engagement that Donna put together with Alberto is really never shying away from any topic in any of the meetings. So bringing up the LCAP, bringing up those one-time funds, bringing up the safety plans, all of those things, so that we were probably the most transparent, communicative we've ever been as a district. And I got to really thank those two people for making that happen for me. To get back to this plan, so we had a 1-year change from the local control and accountability plan to a 1-year local continuity and attendance plan, learning continuity and attendance plan, see? And so we needed to craft an update that included this year's learning continuity and attendance plan, as well as the prior year LCAP plan. So what you see when you review the documents, and I'll talk to the public about where I want them to go and look at it and take a really hard look, is that we needed to define why there was some of that carryover that Rosa was talking about, the $600,000 that, the ending fund balance for our LCAP, that really happened because we had to stop school basically in March of 2020. I'm not sure if it was a year ago or 100 years ago at this point, but so that stopped after school tutoring. It stopped field trips. It stopped supplies as we had to divert to online education, and our teachers did such an amazing job of shifting online. And so it really changed the dynamic of how we were spending within the plan, but the state did give us the ability to just sort of do an overall narrative about it, about how you shifted your funding, because it was an emergency situation. And so to get hotspots out to people, to get Chromebooks, to get those initial learning packets out during spring break of last year, we had to do some extra hours and funding that we didn't have written in our original plan. And so the state said, just tell us how you changed and what you did. And so it basically comes with 3 documents this year. So you have our update, which includes the LCAP as well as that learning continuity and attendance plan updates. Then you have our 21 through 24 back to being the local control and accountability plan. Through our stakeholder engagement, we reconfirmed those 3 goals would stay the same, and realigning some of our actions, forecasting out to what we would like some of our outcomes to be in that last year, that 23-24, and really engaging in a thoughtful process of setting a new baseline once our students come back in the fall, and sort of hitting restart on a lot of things, getting fresh data and going from there. So that's kind of how this plan was built, and it encourages that. So it's what's your baseline, and then we won't be updating for the upcoming years until at the end of, well, spring of next year is when we'll be talking about how we're lining up with the baseline that we're setting now for this new plan. And then we have our LCFF budget overview for parents that Rosa helped put together. So it kind of gives like a really streamlined version of the budget report with a graph for parents to see. And so we're doing what we did a couple years ago and having that document translated as well. So we'll get that on the website as soon as we have it, just to give our families like a visual representation of where we allocate our money in our district as a whole. So what we want to do is have people go to our district website and follow the link, look at these documents, and in the time that we have between this meeting and our next board meeting, as we did a couple years ago with our LCAP, if anybody has any questions or comments that they'd like to give to our draft, we've sent this out to our SELPA for their review, and if they have any comments or updates that they'd like to see, that they email us at our stakeholder at santaritaschools.org. All that information is online as well, with directions for them how to do that. It just kind of gives one last chance for our learning community to give feedback on this document.
Okay, thank you. And we do encourage everybody out there watching the board meeting to really participate and take a look at. This is your opportunity to kind of give your feedback and input on it. Does any board have any questions or comments?
No, just as Ms. Alderman said, great job to Ms. Koenig and Mr. Alberto. I think they did a fantastic job. I really enjoyed participating in some of those meetings. Had an opportunity to complete the survey myself. And I just think it's, I think we established really good goals and really specific directions. So I'm really excited at the document.
Okay, thank you. So we just move on to the next, this is the hearing, right? So the next one would be the one where we actually would approve it. Oh, we have to close, we didn't open it, okay.
I've seen districts where they say we open it now for
Okay.
public comment and then they close it
Open it.
a specific time.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, I think we should just, if there's, take a minute or so, if there's any comment about the budget, if there's any comment about the LCAP, if people could, let us know now before we officially close.
Yeah,
the
we'll give a
discussion
few
of both
moments.
items.
If anybody wants to email anything in or log into the Zoom. Actually, I need to take a quick break for that.
Let's take a 5-minute pause and allow for if anyone would like to submit a comment or question for public hearing for item 8.4, the budget, or 8.5, the LCAP.
And I'd also like to just remind people that we will be adopting this at a following meeting. So they're also welcome to make a public comment at that meeting as well if they have something that they want to say, that nothing has been enacted tonight. This is just an opportunity to provide the public with information.
Did Ms. Koenig want to share anything about the LCAP? Considering it was her baby?
Was that okay? So we're going to first close the hearing for the budget, and then we're going to also close the hearing for the LCAP. And then we encourage everybody, in case they have anything they want to say, just email, send the link. Okay, so moving on to 9.1. Human
Thank you.
resources.
So each year we complete this declaration of need for fully qualified educators, which is submitted to the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, indicating the possibility of needing some emergency permits for teachers that we're hiring for the new school year. And so we have some estimates, which are guesses based on preliminary reviews of the teachers that we've hired and buffering in case of any new hires that may need that kind of emergency permit while they're working to complete specific authorizations. So this is a request for approval of that so that we can submit that to the state.
Okay, thank you. Does the board have any questions? If not, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, I'll seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Ms. Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel is not present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Moving on to 9.2, reclassify yard duty position to paraprofessional.
John Gutierrez Middle School currently has a yard duty position that is a .6875 FTE. And they really have a need for that position to be combined with a paraprofessional bilingual position. And so they've requested that we reclassify that position to hire a paraprofessional who can provide instructional support as well as supervision.
So that person will essentially also help out with whatever the yard duty was, supervision as well.
Correct. And the position is currently vacant, so it will be how we post the new position.
Okay, perfect. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay,
I
can
have one. Is that, so by reclassifying them, that's a new, a different salary schedule or?
It's a different classification on the salary schedule, and it's part of what we're addressing with that minimum wage issue that we have on our salary schedule currently. So if you looked at the starting wage for the two classifications currently, they would be the same, but we're working to adjust that so it is a higher paying classification once we settle with negotiations.
Okay, thank you.
It was a higher paying classification before the minimum wage change. So part of what we're doing would be rectifying, the way that it used to be.
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
All right, second?
Second. Oh, go ahead.
It's okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Ms. Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel is not present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Moving on to 10.0 student services, starting off with 10.1 annual notice to parents for the 2021-2022.
Yes, thank you. Tonight, I'm bringing to you a draft, if we get approval, this will be final. This is the annual notice to parents, and as you can see in the document, section 48.980 for EdCode requires us to annually notify parents of particular items before the beginning of school or at the beginning of school or during the first quarter. It has taken some time to get this document updated. As you can see, it's fairly dense. It's 10 pages. There's a lot of information in here. Approval of this document, upon approval of this document tonight, to board, it will bring us into compliance with the state of California. And then we will move as a district to have the document translated to Spanish, as well as attaching 4 pieces to it that are required to go out to parents as well, which are a copy of the Integrated Pest Management Plan, the 2021-2022 calendar, Sexual Harassment Policy 5145.7, and UCP Policy 1312.3. This is the document that I have brought to the board for approval from the financial piece, I believe around the end of March. So School and College Legal Services of California prepared this for us, which I'm grateful for. As you can see, it's a fairly difficult document to put together. So with approval, and then moving forward each year, what this particular agency will do is they will provide us with what updates we need to add to it each year. They have given us this to us in Word form, so it allows us the ability each year to just edit in the updates each year to parents that they need to be notified. So I'm very happy and pleased with the document. It's been a long haul getting to this point, and it's something that we really needed to come up to compliance with. It's kind of my last hurrah, I guess, for my department. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Nadine. And it gets mailed out, or how does it get provided to parents typically?
That's a great question. It's usually done in newsprint, almost like a little booklet that parents receive, and it's handed out in actual tangible form at the beginning of the school year. And you can see the last page is always a signature page for the parents to return. But I was also speaking with Donna Kane this morning, and I think what we need to do in just becoming more progressive is we should attach this to our website as well. So parents have it in 2 places. If they somehow don't receive a tangible copy of it, that we have a copy of it on our website. If someone were to call and say, I didn't receive this, that we could direct them to that, or provide a copy for them for pickup as well. So I'm hoping to do it in two ways. Tangible, if we're here in person, which is all our hope in August, as well as having a copy on the website.
Great, thank you for clarifying that. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Are they required to fill it out, or is that more of a symbolic?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's more of symbolic. We would not chase people around, to get that. It's more of making sure that they have access to the information than anything else.
Okay, my other question, I know we're attaching those documents. Are we attaching just the policy, or will we be attaching a sample of the form?
The policy, the requirement is to.
I'm sorry, for the
attach
UCP, just to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah, the requirement is the policy. If the board so wishes to include more, that would be direction from the board. What I'm presenting to you is what the state requires.
Yeah, it was a great document. I think it would be a good resource for them to have at hand, just so people don't have to, look around for it, and if they have it accessible. I don't know what the other board members think.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't follow that. So normally what happens is they receive it. It looks like a little newspaper, and then yeah, I agree that we should make it available digitally so that people have it. But yeah, I don't want to. I want to make sure everybody has the policies, but not like I wouldn't want to put like a UCP form with it, because then people might think that they have to return that form, which when they really don't have a complaint, parents at the beginning of the year are filling out everything. They'll fill out anything that you send home. So just like making sure that they just have the policies and are not accidentally filing a complaint.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think I understand your logic, but I think that makes more sense to just put the policy in there, and then they know what the steps are.
We could certainly add a line saying, to access the form, please go to district website and put that.
Yeah, that's a better idea.
Yeah, and great job. It is a very dense packet, but it is concise and to the point. So,
okay,
thank you.
Is there any other questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, can I get a second? I second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Ms. Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel is not present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you.
I know in the packet of stuff that my students get at the beginning of the year, sometimes there's an opt-out form, and if they send it back, I always call the families and say, did you mean to opt out, or did you just sign everything that went home? And about 90% of the time they say, oh, I just signed everything.
Just check that item off the list. I did it. Okay, moving on to 11.1. It's our USD virtual learning program.
Though Ms. Koenig's new position as Director of Curriculum Instruction does not start until July 1, I have asked her to log in and present this board item.
Thank you, Ms. Improvement, and thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. So tonight I present to you our virtual learning program. We're asking for board approval going into the 21-22 school year to approve our virtual learning program. We'll be starting initially with grades 4 through 8, and as we build and increase the program, that will first, we will still first pay for it out of the extended learning opportunity grant, and then just continue building it with the great team that we have with us. It's going to be amazing.
So CDE guidelines require, in order to start a new program, that we have board approval at a public meeting.
Okay.
And right now, we would be doing this as a program of choice. And so we'll follow all CDE guidelines. What our intention is in this 2 years that we're building our program, and Ms. Koenig mentioned that we're going to start with grades 4 through 8 and build up our capacity from there, is that if we are able to transition it to a larger capacity and garner ADA that would sustain it, that we would then go through the process of making it a standalone school with its own CDS code. And so at that point, you would be approving creation of a new school. So right now, you're approving a program of choice for the district.
Thank you for clarifying. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I know that there was a survey sent out about interest. What was our feedback on that?
Donna, do you want to talk about that, the survey results?
Yeah, right now we have about, I think, 18 to 24 very interested. We're going to look at, we did send out a postcard just recently. I think this week that postcard went out to all of our stakeholders. And we're looking at once that postcard is received, we will resend out the survey as well. Also, we do know there are a few people that may be interested in it that did not fill out the survey, so we'll be actually making phone calls out to those families that we're aware of to make sure it's accessible for those that we know would be interested in securing enrollment for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? No?
I have one more thing.
Sure.
We're hoping by the next board meeting to have a firmer idea of how many students we would start in the fall with, because we'll be bringing forth a recommended item with FTE for teacher positions. And so we'll base that on feedback that we receive from the second survey.
Okay, great. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve?
Did we need to open or close this as a public hearing? Okay. Motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I second.
Second, okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Ms. Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel isn't present. Motion passes 4-0.
Awesome, and just run with it. Okay, moving on to 11.2, Resolution 21.06.2, Child Care and Development Contract for the 2021-2022.
This is our annual renewal of our state preschool program with our contract for the upcoming school year, as well as our resolution for authorized signatures. So I have added myself, Rosa Zamudio, and Dr. Summer Prather Smith.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments from the board regarding this item? No? Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Can I get a second?
Second.
I think Alva got you on that one. Roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Miss Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Miss Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel isn't present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Moving on to 12.0 administration, 12.1, 2021-2022 board activity calendar.
I'm presenting this item for approval, knowing that it is a living document and we will add items as we onboard our new directors. This sets a monthly calendar for the board with our large compliance items and known items that we'll be presenting throughout the school year. It's really outlining our major activities as well as regular compliance and communication and activities that we have to schedule, like budget hearings and approvals. Each year, and it really represents inclusion of those regular communications to the board regarding the state of the district quarterly, as well as superintendent's evaluation. And it will be a model for this board and act hopefully as a template for future board members and district administration moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. And actually pretty excited about this. This was one of my to-do list for a while, so I'm very thankful you took the reins and you said it's going to be a lasting document that'll be moving around. Any questions or comments from the board? No?
Yes. Surprise. No, I think this is a great document. Like I said, it's a living document. I'd love to see, and I'm not sure if this is a proper venue, but also include like our school site council meetings and DLAC meetings on there, just to allow the board just to prepare for those in case they're able to attend, so we can be more hands-on. I know there's updates on here, but just as those specific site, just so we can plan ahead.
So I created this specifically for our board meetings. I always, now, I will send out an events calendar that will have our school site council meetings, DLACs, things like PTA, as well as site events like our music concerts and things like that are already being scheduled for the upcoming school year. And that way you'll just have it at your fingertips and you'll know what's going on when.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Okay, can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Miss Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Miss Elva Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel is not present. Motion passes 4-0.
And I kind of actually like to ask that sort of the reverse happen too, where the site-specific calendars that are sent out to the families, if they would include where the board meetings are, or if there's like a district-wide DLAC meeting, that kind of thing. Because sometimes people ask me, they're like, I have my kid's calendar, but I don't know when the board meets. And I thought, okay, well, we could add that to the local calendars, the ones that parents use the most.
Thank you, Sarah. That's an awesome idea.
It was not mine. It was a parent's, but I brought it forward. That's my job.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. That's your job. So that's awesome job. Okay, moving on to 13, advanced planning, 13.1. Next regular board meeting will be June 23rd.
June 23rd. I do want to let the board know that we will be having our orientation for establishing trustee areas. So the demographer group will be here. And we will need to, in our agenda, set a particular time for their presentation. So we'll outline that. And so we may need to do things like rearrange our director's reports to make sure that whatever time we set for them to start, that we start exactly that time, because it is public information and that's part of their requirements. And so just know that your agenda will have a specific time for that particular presentation for our next meeting.
Okay, perfect. And also to let the public know as well, the rest of the board, as a reminder, we do have our June 19th board retreat as well. And is there any suggestions for future board items from the board?
Not for the board as a whole, but just requesting that we schedule a July facilities meeting, because we hadn't scheduled one because we were waiting on what would happen. But once the contracts are through, just that we'd have an update. Thank you.
Anything else from the board? No? Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us today and the staff. And can I get a motion to adjourn at 7:24?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, can I get a second?
I second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Andrew Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob Sandoval,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Aye.
Ms. Alvaro Ariano,
Aye.
Mr. Neil Patel is not present. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you, everybody.